Hey guys, John here. Today we're going to make something groovy and fun. So we'll see how this turns out. So let's go to menu, initialize, and we have a saw wave. So let's start off with our step sequencer. And we can go to the page or we can right click it because Avenger's awesome. And here, if we look at our length, we have 16, but let's go all the way up to 32. And it's kind of bring these bars up for now, right? It's going to be essentially the same thing, just more of those, right? But every so often we can add just a little one here, maybe here, and see what that sounds like. Maybe skip this one, do that. Here? Something like that. That can be kind of groovy. So in this case, we can add some unison. Maybe bring down our pan a little bit here. Let's go over to our voicing. Let's add two voices. Both are going to be an octave above. And then we can pan these maybe a little bit to the left or right here and do a little bit of detune to make them a little different from each other. That could be kind of cool. One thing, maybe we should not pan them as much. Maybe something's kind of small like that. And we could maybe even add a sub. Just for some little extra texture like that. That might be kind of cool. Okay, so we have this here, and to make this a little bit more interesting, I'm going to go with a shaper, and again, below the filter for me sounds the best. So we can do kind of stuff like that. So before we get into that, I want to EQ this just a little bit here because I don't really like how it sounds at the moment. So for this guy, I kind of want to make this part be the groovy part, some drums, and maybe some bass to kind of keep the low end a little bit. So I don't want this to be completely controlling low end here. So in that case, we're going to high pass this. Maybe like that. Maybe increase the resonance a little bit. And then get some of those nasty frequencies out of there. And as I always do, one of my tricks here I love is a high shelf, maybe around 1K, and just give it a little bit. Something kind of like that there. Right, maybe some compression. Make it a little bit nasty. And we can do some delays to make it a little bit interesting. And bring this down to 20 or something like that, or 17, whatever. So a little bit of delay. We're not going to go too crazy on these specific delays, but what I do like to do is add another one, and instead of just leaving this on ping pong, right, we can change this over to pattern. There's a lot of cool different stuff here. So I do like 3/4. Makes it a little bit different. But again, we don't want this too loud. Right, and maybe actually, you know what, before the delays, maybe we can add a little bit more distortion. And I do like the multiband, and really, this one is so easy to use. I like to just add a little bit of mid and high here. It really kind of makes it aggressive, so here's without it. And then with it, we can even go a little bit crazier. Right, a little brighter, a little more distorted. It's kind of nice. And for this, I think what might be fun too is some quantum. And if you're not familiar with this one, it's pretty deep, so spend some time with it. But if you're not familiar with it, no worries. You can go here to the presets that are built in, and there's a lot of cool ones to pick from. So like, for example, some complex delay times. So let's see what this is. Kind of wild. Some of the crazier ones are in these glitchy complex stuff here. So let's kind of check some of these out. Wild Hopper. That might be kind of cool here. Let's bring on the global mix a little bit. I kind of like that. Okay, so now we have this here. Let's add some more stuff to it. So I think we should maybe add an ARP here and maybe add some stuff like this, maybe bring an octave up here, here, and then maybe for this guy, we can maybe just do a 1 here, bring out our inner phrygian a little bit. Okay, so with our shaper, let's bring this back. And maybe move this here with an LFO. So we're going to go to a random one like this. Let's bring this offset all the way to the right because we don't really want a bipolar signal. And let's drag and drop this here to our frequency. And for this, we really don't need high values, but we do need it faster. And we do want to do some filtering. I think for this patch here, I do like the sound of the Nexus filters. Even the 12 is really nice here. A little resonance. Okay, so we have this, and what we can do as well, in our step sequencer, we basically have this volume mix, so all the way to the left, it's kind of like it's off. Right? All the way to the right is basically on. But first, we kind of want to contour the main amp envelope. So bring our sustain down. And then maybe put this volume mix on a macro. So let's use 3 for that. And let's call this step sequencer. That should be pretty clear. And yeah, give it 100%. So you kind of mix in how much of this that you want. That might be cool, and I do want to mess with the pan too a little bit as well. So LFO2, we're going to go for basically a random square here, and for this guy, I do want to keep this bipolar, so we can drag and drop this to pan and give us a good amount of influence here. So it kind of bounces off on the stereo field. Now, a couple things to keep in mind for this. So we are utilizing the stereo field, and we do also have unison voices, and the panning is, what, 48%? So the more this is panned here, the less of an effect this is going to have. Versus if we had this all the way down and in our voicing, let's turn these off for now. It's going to be a little bit more obvious because we're kind of having things more panned, right? Or less panned. If that makes any sense. So we can turn these back on and maybe not have these so panned like I was saying before, maybe something like the 20s. And then for our unison, we can maybe bring it just up a little bit. Something like that might be kind of cool. And maybe also increase the speed to like an 1/8 note. Maybe all the way panning, why not? So we have that. So now what we could probably do is add some drums here. And one of my personal favorites, I just love this Sidekit one here. Let's turn this on. And I want this all the full zone. So I'm going to bring the drums all the way up like that. Okay, so we have something like this here. Now, what I was talking about with the bass, I kind of want to bring that in. So let's add another oscillator, new effect stack, new filter, and yeah, I guess a new amp here. So we're going to route this all to something new. So filter 2, we're going to go to amp 2, out effects 2. And also for this, we're going to use an ARP, but we're going to need another ARP. So ARP 2, something kind of like that. So if we muted this one, we have that. So maybe something like this here. Let's remove these guys. And like that. That might be kind of fine here. So bring up our mix here, maybe a little less panning. Kind of like that. Our filter, we can go to the 24, a little bit of resonance, and let's see. Okay, and we're going to go to EQ and make this a little bit nicer. Could actually use a high pass for that and really increase the resonance here. something like that. Compressor, maybe 8 to 1-ish, something like that. And then kind of, I guess, together. And something with bass that I kind of like doing as well. So we have that, right? On the dimension expander, I do like using a little bit of this guy and bringing this mix maybe down to like 12, some kind of low, and take out some of that low end. Kind of just opens it up a little bit. It's not so in the computer. So it's kind of nice to have that as well. And maybe for this guy, what if we did a 1 here? That might be kind of cool, or... So here's kind of an interesting thing that I like to do every so often. So I do like it when this bass pattern is kind of like this. Now, in this case, let's say, for example, I want to keep this, but also kind of make it a progression and kind of just start adding things to it. So what we could do, we can go here to copy, and then for the next one here, we can paste this in here. So essentially, we have 2 of the same thing, right? Now, for the second one, I did like adding that other one in there, right? So if we're selected here, it's going to play the one that we're on, right? And this is kind of a cool thing where we can automate things. So for macro 2, we can drag and drop this here, and then we can start giving this some depth. So all the way to the right, we can turn it to where it is here on B. So if this is to the left here, we're essentially playing this bass pattern the whole time. However, it turns to the right, we're going to start playing this one here. So in this case, we can start maybe differentiating these a little bit more. So let's see what this would be like. No, maybe like that. What would this be? So that would be... You could do that. I do like it kind of just bare like this here. So that's kind of a way you can do that. So you can just, I guess, call this, I don't know, bass pattern, something like that. That might be kind of interesting. But yeah, that's kind of a cool little trick there. And you can do that with any types of ARPs that you want to. I just kind of want to point that one out as well. And we should do our cutoff for the other one here. Yeah, so I'll go filter, something like that here. And then maybe we should make these macros here. We could use maybe like a drums or bass kind of deal here. So this oscillator 2 is obviously the bass. Let's call it that. And oscillator 1, I don't know, rhythm, rye, whatever. So we can go to our zones or mixer, and we can say, okay, maybe this macro 1 should be the drums. So we can bring this all the way down and drag and drop this here and do something like 50s. So we play here. Turn those on, so drums, and then we're going to do the same thing with the bass. Bring this down, drag and drop here, and then do 50 again, and label this as bass. So now when we're playing, we want to add some bass. And then drums. Now you could also put the bass as well on a macro to kind of have a controlled volume. That's really up to you if you want to do that. But yeah, you can maybe even just control it here. So FX2, maybe we can... kind of bring it out like that. What also is fun as well on the master filter, or maybe we can do like another plus here, is enable this as one pole. Low pass 6 is really nice for some like kind of smooth things, maybe a little bit of resonance or something. Kind of open that up a little bit if you want to do those huge sweeps, open up everything and put that on a macro. It's something you can do as well. And I think one of the last things we could add, I mean, there's a million things we can put on this guy, but for this first one, this sound, I kind of want to have this move a little bit, and for that, we can go and add a mini chain, set this to the bass drum, and here we have a mix 100 is kind of default, so it's really going to pump. And that might be what you want. That might be kind of cool, but you could also dial it down a little bit. Or alternatively, you could put this on a macro, maybe like put it on a button. So 69 is a good number, we all know. So let's bring this down and let's do 69. There we go. So now we can put this as a sidechain. And here we go. That might be kind of interesting. I guess experiment with different drum kits as well. It's kind of a cool one. That's nice as well. And again, that trick with the sequencer stuff, you could do that, or the ARP, you can do that with the drum sequencer as well. So if we have, let's say for example, let's just clear all this out, and we have this kick down here. We can go to like fill fourth. Okay, we have a 4 on the floor kick drum, pretty basic. We can go like this, copy this, and go to B, and then paste that as well, enable B. And then I guess for this macro, we can call this like drum pattern, I guess. Let's drag and drop this here first for now. We're just going to do 2 patterns as we did before. So all the way to the right, we can start increasing this. So we're essentially there. We can actually go. So we're essentially playing the other one. Now for this guy, maybe this one here might be kind of interesting here. So we can go fill offbeat. So we have maybe something kind of like that. So if we, I guess we can toggle the playback. Or actually auto fall, here we go. So on the left here, whatever we change it to, it's going to kind of jump to that. So we can kind of see what's going on. So that is kind of nice to have. So you can kind of build up a song like this here. And whenever you want to introduce the hats, you know what, let's go to C. Let's add another one here. So C, let's go to B, let's copy this, and let's paste this on C. And then maybe we can add something kind of like, maybe, that might be interesting. Maybe we can add that one here. That might be kind of cool. So fill clap. Maybe we can do that to the same thing for this guy. I do need some reverb on that guy. And I think, which one did we do as well? Did this guy too. So the snare, that could use some reverb as well. So here we go. So now we have basically these 3 patterns. Going all the way to the left is the first pattern. Increase it here. And the third pattern. So that's kind of a cool way to kind of change the pattern, what's going on as well. The same thing as the bass. So definitely a useful technique there. But yeah, we can make a lot of cool stuff with this, but that's kind of just, I guess, where we're going to go with it today. And I guess at the very end, maybe we can do some EQ, maybe kind of balance this out a little bit here. And maybe some slight compression if we want to. Maybe bring this down a little bit like that. The bass might be a little bit loud. We can actually bring this down a little bit. It's kind of cool as well. And I guess last thing we can add is just maybe a little bit of reverb. That might be kind of nice. Maybe some root-averb. But definitely decay not at 70. All right, cut. Just bring this down a little bit and increase our low cut. That might be kind of cool. So let's start off kind of low like this. Maybe bass pattern down, drum pattern down. I guess let's just add this last macro to like the filter, something kind of like that. Let's do that real quick. I can take the resonance down and then maybe add this all the way. So this would be, I guess, master filter. And again, you can change out however the macros are set up for you. Master filter, whatever. If you want to have something like that. So that's kind of the idea there. So again, so last time here, filter down. Let's put our bass pattern down, also our drum pattern, and just maybe take off the sidechain, or take off the drums at least. This should be filtered a little more, I think. Yeah. And what might be fun for this too, you could actually even combine the drums and the bass so they come on up at the same time. That might be kind of cool as well. But yeah, that's essentially, I guess, what we're making today. Hopefully you learned a couple things. The tricks of changing these patterns on a macro is really helpful. And yeah, that's about it. See you in the next one.